my channel. In today's video, I wanted to change it up a little bit and do some cake mix hacks. I haven't done these in a while and I always love them. My family always loves it when I make these, and they are so simple and easy to make, and you can make so many different things using cake mix. So here we go, let's get started. To get us started, we're going to be making this delicious looking orange creamsicle cake. So to our cake mix, I'm just going to go ahead and put that at the very bottom of the bowl. You're just going to use anything that it says in the back of the box. So I have 3/4 a cup of water, 3 eggs, and then 1/2 cup of oil that I'm going to be putting in there. Give it a good stir until all the lumps are out. It is combined properly. I ended up using white cake mix. You can use white or you can use yellow for this, completely up to you. I'm going to get my 9x13 pan. I'm going to go ahead and lightly grease that. I'm just going to go ahead and put my cake mix at the very bottom. We're just going to cook this just like we're supposed to, like the back of the box says to do. So I end up cooking mine for about 25 minutes. Alright, while that is done cooking and it is cooling at the moment, I'm going to go ahead and get started on some Jell-O. So I have 3/4 cup of boiling water, and then I am going to stir in my orange Jell-O mix, and then I'm also going to stir in another 3/4 a cup of cold water. Give that another good stir as well. Alright, we're going to bring that off the heat. We're going to bring that to our cake. And before we end up putting in the cake, I'm just going to poke some holes all over our cake. Alright. Alright, so you're just going to pour it right on over. Even though it's hot, it's going to be fine. Just make sure you pour all of those juices all over the holes. Okay, you try to make it as even as possible. And I ended up putting mine in the fridge overnight. I wanted it to get nice and cold before we put our topping on. I have 1 package of pudding mix, vanilla pudding mix, and then I have 1 cup of milk, and I'm going to go ahead and give that a good stir. Alright, once it has thickened up, I'm going to put in our Cool Whip. I have 8 ounces of Cool Whip. You can also make it yourself. Just make sure it's about 8 ounces worth. I'm just going to fold in the pudding mix in with that Cool Whip. Alright, I'm going to bring our cake right back, and we're going to just put this right on top. And if you wanted to add a little bit more of an orange flavor, you could add a very thin layer of like an orange marmalade before you put your topping on. Also, like some orange zest on top of this frosting would be amazing. I think it just needed just a little bit more of that orange flavor to it, but this was very good. These poke cakes always turn out so moist. I absolutely love them. And then I put some like mandarin oranges on top just for added decoration, and the flavor on it was really good. Up next, we're going to be making brownies, but just a little bit different. These are going to be some lemon brownies with a wonderful glaze on top. To a medium bowl, we need 1 lemon cake mix, 2 eggs. We're going to need 1/3 cup of oil. Any type of oil is fine. And then 1 teaspoon or maybe a little bit more of vanilla extract. Go ahead and give that a good stir. I do recommend using some type of spoon because these get very thick. So you're going to need something that's a little bit different than a whisk, which was what I was using to start off with. I definitely recommend, if you like thicker brownies, you can put it in an 8x8 or a 9x9 square dish, but I actually wanted some thin ones, so I should have put it in a 9x13. I think it would have been fine. You're just going to level off these brownies, and that's what I'm doing here with the spoon. I'm going to go ahead and cook this at 350 for about 20 minutes. Once it is done cooking, I'm just going to go ahead and set it off to the side and let it cool. And while it is cooling, I'm going to get started on our glaze. So I need 1 cup of powdered sugar and juice of 1 lemon, and then 1 teaspoon of milk. and then just give that a good stir until all the lumps are completely gone from the powdered sugar. And I do recommend leaving everything in the 8x8 pan. That way it kind of thickens up and you have plenty of glaze on there and it doesn't go off the cutting board like mine does. But even so, I went ahead and showed you guys. This is pretty much right away, so yours will, the icing will dry up and look a little bit differently. But I'm telling you guys, this one was so good. My family loved it so much. Next is a very decadent Oreo poke cake. This one was a family favorite for sure. We really enjoyed this one. To a medium bowl, we're going to go ahead and put a chocolate cake mix at the very bottom, 3/4 a cup of vegetable oil or any type of oil, and then 1 cup of water. Also 3 eggs, which is just everything that it says to do at the back of the box, so just go ahead and follow those directions. Go ahead and give everything a good stir, and then we are going to put this in our cake pan. So I have a 9x13 pan that I'm just going to go ahead and lightly grease, and then we're going to go ahead and put our cake at the very bottom. We're going to put this in the oven at 350 for about 25 minutes until it is done cooking. Once it is done cooking and it is cooling, I'm going to go ahead and get started on our filling. So I need 1 package of this Oreo type of pudding, and then 1 3/4 cup of milk, and then go ahead and give that a good stir. And then go ahead and put that off to the side. We're going to get our cake mix now that it is done cooling, and we're just going to poke it. I just use this big spoon to poke it. You can use whatever you have on hand to poke it. It really does not matter. As long as we're poking holes, we're fine. And then we're just going to go ahead and put that pudding mixture, and we're just going to try and fill those holes the best that we can and as even as possible. So I'm using my spoon in a certain way to try to fill all those holes, but the pudding is pretty thick, so you just kind of have to work with it a little bit to make sure those holes are getting filled. All right, and then I'm going to use, you can use whatever. If you want to do homemade, that's fine. I just had this can of whipped buttercream frosting, and I just went ahead and put it in the microwave because I want it more of like a liquid. That way it can pour easily, and then I can spread it easily since I already have that pudding on there. So I'm just going to try to spread that out as best as I possibly can. All right, and then we have some Oreos that I'm just gonna lay on top. You can crush them if you like. Usually for stuff like this, I end up crushing them, but I just put them in half and then just put them on the cake just like this. Made a cute decoration, and it just looks really nice. And that is it. We cut a slice. Let me tell you, this is very, very rich. So if you don't like rich stuff, maybe not the dessert for you, but man, it was absolutely delicious. The cake is so moist. I love the pudding that we put in there. It just adds such a great flavor to it. Next is a mixed berry cobbler, and this is one of my favorite ways to do cake mix, is making a cobbler. It is so good. In a 9x13 pan, we're going to go ahead and lightly grease that. I'm going to put in 2 pounds of mixed berries. I'm going to go ahead and just, since it was partially frozen, I'm just going to try to break it up so that it's nice and even on the bottom there. I'm going to take the juice of 1 lemon and put it all over. I have 3/4 cup of sugar we're going to put on top, and then 1/2 cup of flour, and 1/2 tablespoon of cornstarch, and just give that a good stir. If you don't like a thicker one, you don't have to put in the flour. I would just omit the flour and just do the cornstarch, maybe double up on the cornstarch. That way it's a little bit thick, but not as thick as what I have here. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and put our cake mix. I like to use a yellow cake mix for cobblers. And just go ahead and dump it, and then try to even it out the best that you can. I'm going to put 1.5 sticks of butter all over our cake mix, and I do find that if you use melted butter, I feel like that works a little bit better and that you don't have patches of like dry cake mix anywhere. But you can cut it up, or you can do just the melted butter is completely fine. Go ahead and put that in the oven at 350 for about 30 to 45 minutes until everything is done cooking up. Your cake mix is nice and golden brown. This is delicious, and just look at that. It's just so juicy on the bottom. Oh my stars, this is a family favorite. And of course you cannot have cobbler without having some ice cream. So I ended up later putting some ice cream on this. I'm telling you all, this is just divine. It's one of my favorites, and you cannot go wrong with a good cobbler. All right, next is a coffee cake, and this one is a sure winner for sure. We're gonna take a yellow cake mix and put that at the bottom of our bowl. We need 3 eggs, a third a cup of vegetable oil, or any type of oil is fine, and then 1.5 cup of water. Go ahead and give that a good stir. Set that off to the side, and we're going to get a medium mixing bowl. We're going to mix in 1 cup of flour, 3 tablespoons of cinnamon, half a cup of sugar, and half a cup of brown sugar, and about a teaspoon of vanilla. Go ahead and give that a good stir. We're going to add in 1 stick of butter that I went ahead and just chopped into smaller pieces, and we're going to go ahead and give that another good stir. And for this, I ended up using my hands just to kind of smush the butter together to get it nice and crumbly. We're going to use our pan, and we are going to put half of our cake mixture at the very bottom. And then we're going to put half of our like cinnamon and sugar mixture that we made, or crumb mixture if you want to call it that. And we'll put that right on top. And don't be afraid to use quite a bit for this first layer, because I kind of wish that I would have. All right, and then we're going to layer it with the other half of that cake mixture just right on top of our crumb mixture. All right, and then just go ahead and put the rest of that crumb mixture right on top. And I have quite a bit, so I definitely wish I would have made put more at the middle layer there. All right, that is it. And we're gonna put that in the oven at 350 for 40 minutes. You guys, this is so good. It is so moist. It is delicious. It's perfect, has a perfect crumb flavor to it. The cinnamon and sugar are on spot. The cinnamon sugar doesn't just fall off the cake like some of them do. This one is an absolute phenomenal, really good for a dessert or even like a breakfast. All right, this last one is going to be a slow cooker pumpkin dump cake. You cannot get better than that. I'm gonna go ahead and add 1.5 sticks of butter to this measuring cup, and I'm just going to go ahead and get it melted to my crock pot. I'm going to go ahead and line this because I do not want a mess to clean up with when it's all done cooking. I'm going to go ahead and lightly grease that as well. I have 1 box of spice cake mix that we're going to add at the very bottom of the crock pot. I'm also going to add this package. It's a 3.4 ounce package of vanilla pudding. Just place that right on top. And then 1 can of pumpkin. Don't do the pumpkin pie one, just the pumpkin puree, just 100% pumpkin. Put that right on top as well. And then 1.5 cups of milk. And then place that butter right on top. All right, and then just give it just a little bit of a stir. It doesn't have to be completely stirred through, but just a little bit of one. All right, and then go ahead and put the lid on. Let that cook on a low heat for about 3 hours. Mine took closer to 4 hours, but it kind of depends on the crock pot that you're using. But I ended up putting some chocolate chips right on top. So delicious. I mean, you could not have pumpkin without the chocolate chips. Thanks so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed these cake mix hacks. If you do and you found value in this content, go ahead and give me a big thumbs up. Consider subscribing below if you have not already. I'd love to have you here on this channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.